I've always come in peace.
We expect it to sound a bit more like our finance minister this morning.
I will try.
Yeah. Well, so first of all, I think it would be amiss if I don't ask you about your views on this Gold for All initiative.
Well, it doesn't make sense in any way.
It doesn't make sense.
In any way, it doesn't make sense.
Because they said all this about reducing pressure on the city.
It doesn't make sense, absolutely. I don't see the sense it makes. I think in this very studio I had said that we need to shore up our gold reserve.
Okay.
And so when it was announced, this gold purchase plans has been announced twice.
Yeah.
I thought that it was to shore up our reserve.
Okay.
And make sure that we have a stronger reserve position. Unfortunately, subsequently also knowing they announced this gold for oil. It's the same thing, borrowing dollars, and coming down here and spending in cities when you know that the contractors will still need that same dollars to actually finance the projects or, executes the project, and therefore we put unnecessary pressures on ourselves, and it is the same thing. I mean, what are the negotiated price for this gold we claim to buy? Who is picking it up, like the off-takers? Who are those picking it up? Is there some form of arrangement? Are we making enough profit on that? We know what goes on at cocoa board, where they buy our cocoa and they sell it, they borrow and all that. We are back to the same thing. We are opening up the BOG for more, I will say, financing risk exposures. Tomorrow, if gold prices should plummet, what happens?
Okay.
What happens? I mean, for me, it doesn't make sense. Whoever thought of this and actually decided to go this way must have some personal interest in what is going on. I don't think it makes any economic sense to do what we are doing.
Personal interest in what is going on?
Yeah.
And where will the personal interest come in?
Well, we are buying the gold here with our cedis, which for me, it's good, right? The gold in our reserves would be valued in dollars, and with the current global prices of gold that will be used, right? Okay. If we are selling it for oil, are those providing the oil the same people picking up the gold? Are they taking payment in gold? I doubt.
No. They say in most cases, no.
No, it won't happen. They are taking their monies in dollars. So where are you selling the gold? At what rate? At what value? Where is the transparency? So for instance, you sell an ounce of gold at 1,100. When in fact it is worth 1,700. Where is the difference? And therefore, if you want to do such a thing, there must be a lot more transparency in there. Am I, as an individual, allowed to come to governments and say I am buying part of this gold as an investment? That is not what is going on. Once we don't know the off-takers, once there are iron curtains on what actually is being done in terms of the sales of the gold, then we are back to the same field where we are bringing in dollars. We don't know how much dollars that is giving us to be able to pay for the gold.
Okay.
Then somebody must be benefiting.
And the promise is to give us cheaper fuel.
No, that cannot guarantee you cheaper fuel. It will only guarantee you cheaper fuel when you have negotiated that, look, for every ounce of gold, I'm going to get 2 barrels or more or whatever. Then you will be talking of a cheaper. So we know how much you bought the gold with our cedis, right? You don't need dollars. That takes a pressure, some form of pressure from you, and all you need to do is to replace the gold with your oil, with the oil that you want to buy. Then you can actually revalue it and say, okay, I am making so much savings. At this point, I don't know how much I am getting for my gold.
Okay.
How do I know the costs?
Okay.
And then again, the oil, nobody is telling me that instead of maybe $86 a barrel, I'm probably getting it at 42 a barrel. No one has said that to us.
So
Give
unless
us-
they negotiate a lower cost for the fuel
Yes.
in exchange for the gold that we are giving without using dollars.
There is nothing.
Because right now they're telling us that it looks like majority of the time they have to take the gold, go and sell, take the dollars and go and buy the fuel.
Look, what is even the costs of sale?
The cost of selling the gold.
Yes, what is even the cost of selling the gold?
There's a cost involved.
Of course. You are selling the gold on the international market.
Okay.
The gold will not fly onto the international market and be sold.
Okay.
So there is some cost for selling the gold.
Okay.
What is it? We don't know. I don't know.
So there are many questions for you
Absolutely.
than answers.
Absolutely.
But for now, the only thing that makes sense to you is that somebody is trying to put in place an arrangement where they benefit from.
I am saying that somebody is making. I'm being
They are already
emphatic.
making.
They are making.
Is beneficial to somebody's personal interest at play
Exactly.
here.
But is it not surprising for you that this initiative have been announced twice? Not an ounce of gold was bought. The moment it was announced with this gold and oil exchange thing, all of a sudden, BOG had money to buy gold. Is it not surprising to you?
And I was asking this question this morning, and I'll tie it in with something you said on Alaji and Alaji this weekend. I was asking, so Bank of Ghana pays operations. It means that Bank of Ghana will have to find cities to go and buy gold.
Exactly.
By your understanding of how the Bank of Ghana works, where would they get that money? Are they going to use government revenue, or where would they get that money?
Oh, no. Bank of Ghana do have a lot of resources flowing to it.
Okay.
In fact, Bank of Ghana also trades.
Okay.
You know, they also make some money. If you look at the Bank of Ghana account, you would realize that they also make some money.
Okay.
In this case, what they would do is to use government money
Okay.
because this actually belongs to the states.
Okay.
Bank of Ghana is playing 2 roles, more as the treasurer and then also as the reserve bank.
Okay.
Now, so when they take monies from the banks, your capital deposit and all that, from our commercial banks, the money should not just sit with them. They have to work with the money,
Okay.
right, to also make some money. Some of the banks will even go and borrow and seek for support from BOG. It comes at a cost and all that. So Bank of Ghana in itself makes some money, and therefore they are able to do some of these things, and they have money sitting with them, and so yes, they are able to
Raise the money.
raise those money. That's the same monies they are able to borrow government,
Okay.
right? And if you hear of the Bank of Ghana financing government, those are some of the monies.
But then you said something over the weekend. That apparently we've issued a bond,
Yes.
40 billion.
Yes, we have not. The plan
We are
is
on the points.
underway
Okay.
to issue that bond.
A bond of 40 billion.
Yes,
cedis.
you would realize that it has been raised, and I'm sure if I'm right, I'm sure I'm right, but to forcing that the Bank of Ghana is printing more money and it's supporting government and blah, 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 and government says no and all that. And Bank of Ghana came out and said, yeah, it is money we are supporting government with, this and that. Okay, so some 40 billion or $3.3 million is owed to the BOG by government, meaning they are finance government's business to that tune. And looking at the refinancing risk and all that, repayment or settlement or whatever risk, they feel that the 40 billion that should be turned into a bond.
A bond?
Yes.
So this is, I recall there was this arrangement in place during the cleanup of the financial sector where there were some people who were said to have held they couldn't pay their deposit or investments at the bank, so they converted them into bonds for them.
Exactly.
Same arrangement.
Same arrangement.
And then they will restructure that bond.
Yes, the moment that happens, and BOG becomes one of the biggest holder of government bonds.
Okay.
Right? Which means that they should be part of the restructure.
So they will give the BOG a 40 billion cedis bond, and then restructure it.
And then restructure it.
Else it will make sense.
Yes.
The whole restructuring wouldn't make sense.
Exactly.
That's interesting.
Because this is a current account kind of a thing. So immediately government should pay back.
Government owes the BOG 40 billion.
Yeah.
cedis.
Yeah.
Bank of Ghana.
Yeah.
That they are not in a position, to pay for all the bonds that they've issued.
Yes, absolutely.
And they're going to issue a bond which they'll pay over a period of time and restructure. Of course, that has to go under the restructuring agenda.
Yes.
I see. That's an interesting one. Well, 49 minutes past 8. But would that affect the Bank of Ghana in any way?
Yes, it affects the Bank of Ghana. It affects their revenue stream. It affects their liquidity. Yes, and so it affects them.
Would it essentially also affect the ability to take up what we are proposing to them, what the government is trying to put on their neck, this gold for oil?
Well, we don't know who it's benefiting, so we can't say for sure.
Well, we're still trying to find that out. But now let me take you into, because since I've started on that note, then I think the best point to start from is the DDE, the Domestic Debt Exchange Program. Now, to you, what is happening? Because we are at the point of saying, come take new bonds for your old bond. We'll reduce your coupon rate for you. Now, at this point, the individual bondholders are being offered, depending on your age. There's an offer for 59, people who are below 59, or people who are 59 and above. So where are we now?
Well, we are in a state of confusion. A DDE program that has failed.
Failed?
Yes, it has failed.
A state of confusion and a failed DDE program?
Exactly.
We are not supposed to be in a state of confusion, else we're in trouble.
We are. I think when at the height of the conversation, myself in particular, I wasn't around, so I couldn't engage.
Okay. Yes. I will.
Yes, but I think that the argument or the conversation was wrongly premised.
Wrongly premised?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I was reading people saying that, I am this old, and therefore, if I have to wait till this far or for that long to actually take my money, then I would have been gone by that time. Usually, there are next of kins for every investment. You have to name your next of kin.
Okay.
For every so in fact you can, we all don't know just tomorrow, a minute away from us we don't know, so everybody can go, we can all die, at any time.
So next or king can go before you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for me, that was not the issue.
Okay.
This is why I say the conversation was wrongly premised. And this is people who know the right thing, who are taking advantage of the wrong premise of the conversation to say that, oh, okay, if you are talking about age, then let me shorten the age for you.
Okay.
But no one has told us what is the average age of our local bondholders.
Okay.
If we know the average age of our local bondholders, then we can understand what government is doing. Because they are on the other side with all the information, and then they are saying, okay, let's take advantage of what they have said. In fact, only a few of bondholders are within this age bracket. So let's give them that.
Okay.
But the real impact will mean that it would even have prolonged it for government. Now, what government seeks to do, and we must understand, is that within the West African region, yes, before 2019, we had seen a sharp increase in debt to GDP. And then we have seen deterioration of, or higher, I should say, deficit financing of most of the member countries.
Okay.
So clearly there was an existing risk in terms of refinancing.
Okay.
And then, and when we say refinancing risk, what it means is that a concentration of your debt,
Okay.
right, or a higher concentration of your debt falls due within a very short and medium time.
Okay.
What it means is that it puts you on a risk to find enough money to settle those. So you have this settlement risk. And then with the kind of situation we find ourselves, you have the interest rate risk going up, interest rate going up because of inflation and all that. So all the various aspects of managing debt looked bad
Okay.
because of our own fiscal risk mismanagement. We mismanage the fiscal space. Now, when you mismanage the fiscal space, it means that you are going to need to finance your how do you call it, your deficit at a higher amounts, and therefore higher rates and all that, exposing yourself to so many other risks that comes with
But
it.
you said this was a sub-region. So
Yes, this is the sub-region.
so there's a problem with mismanagement within the sub-region.
There wasn't a problem with mismanagement within the sub-region.
Okay.
You know, the sub-region agreed to actually take off the how do you call it, the financing deficit ratio,
Okay.
right? So that people can actually fight COVID. Member countries can fight COVID.
Okay.
In our context as Ghana, we have broke that jail before that period.
We had gone past.
Yes. It is 70% debt to GDP. That's the limit.
Okay.
We had gone past that by 2019. We have increased deficit financing by over 136% year on year from 2019 to 2020. So you would come to the realization that our fissures have widely been open before COVID hit.
Okay.
And that is why the impact is great on us. Most of the other member countries were doing around 60-65%. We were already above 70% debt to GDP in 2019. So our situation is different if you look from the other member countries. And then we suspended our financial and monetary policy activities as well, and say that you can do beyond that.
Okay.
and government felt that, well, this is an advantage to win an election in 2020. Let's borrow more. Let's make people happy. And that is what we did. Without looking at the refinancing risk. And if you realize, from 2021, early 2021, the signal were there. Because all the credit rating agencies had looked at our refinancing risk and they knew it is going to deteriorate further. And they did not see any way government is able to raise revenue enough to meet those obligations. Enough and on time to actually meet those obligations. And that is why we started having these downgrades by the credit agencies. So away from that, you need to spread out the maturity of your debt so that it gives you some breathing space.
Okay.
And that is the attempt to do this. Look, we have, I'm sure, some over $14 billion to restructure, of which China alone, I think, holds about 1.9 billion of that.
40 million, China has 1.9.
Yes, with all our multilateral partners and all that.
Okay.
Again, every restructuring without China would fail on the foreign side.
Okay.
The Paris Club, I think, controls about around 1.4 billion, thereabout.
Okay.
And the rest are spread around. And that is one thing in debt management you are also supposed to look at.
Okay.
The concentration of your debt with one particular entity.
Okay. When you borrow more from a particular...
when it is not that spread evenly, you know, it is a whole risk on itself.
Okay.
But away from that, on the local, what we are trying to also do is to spread the maturity.
Okay.
So that when the IMF plugs it in, it makes sense and lowers our exposure in terms to debt to GDP and all those ratios, and then we become sustainable for them to come in. Where we are going, I fear we will miss the target.
Okay, so you're saying that we're at a point where if we do not extend the tenure of some of these debts, we'll be in trouble. Because someone was telling me my bond is due in February.
Yeah.
Another person was saying this same year, he has a bond that is supposed to, that's maturing in September.
Yes.
So 2 bonds alone this year, or there may be more.
There are more. There are more bonds. In 2023, there are some, I think, either 7 bonds or so that are maturing.
7 bonds this year alone.
Yeah.
So what that means is that there's an urgent need to ensure that we extend the tenure of those bonds.
Exactly.
And that's what we are trying to do now. We haven't even gotten to the foreign side.
No.
External, now we are only local.
Only the local.
Okay. And you said you have, so far we haven't handled it well. We have failed.
Oh, yes, it has failed. The extension means failure. It is just not an extension. It is an extension that came with a review.
Okay.
Which means that there wasn't enough consultation.
An extension of the deadline and a review of the proposal
of the terms,
put forward.
exactly, that were put forward.
Okay.
And that means that it has failed. It is not an extension. It is a new DDE that is being proposed now. And I doubt if this will be accepted.
Because you're looking at individual bondholders have a new terms on the table.
Yes.
The banks have new terms on the
Exactly.
table. So you're saying that essentially what that means is that what government proposed first has failed.
Has failed.
So there's a new one on the table.
Exactly.
This is our second.
Yes. So it's not an extension.
Okay.
It's a new proposal.
That's an interesting way to look at it. But government is also saying that, okay, so I don't know whether you can, it's part of the negotiation, I put an offer on the table, you decide to take it or not.
Well, what is negotiations? Negotiations negotiations should come before putting a deal on the table and making me an offer. Knowing how volatile this issue is, you should have consulted very widely.
Ghana's gold.
Not to call Treasury Department of Commercial Banks into the Ministry of Finance and impose certain things on them, and they also couldn't speak.
Oh, that was what was done initially.
That was what
Treasury Departments
exactly.
of commercial banks were called into the BOG
Exactly.
and told that this is what we are doing.
This is what we are doing. You need to support it. And most of them that have been cowed into submission, because when you don't do as the Minister of Finance says, you don't get business from the Minister of Finance.
Business from the Ministry of Finance.
Yes.
Very important.
Oh, very important for the banks.
They need business from the Ministry of Finance.
Of course.
So if I am a bank,
Yes.
and they put something forward that I reject, the Minister of Finance can decide that I am not doing business with you anymore.
Yes. When they are calling their
And you
book,
suffer.
yes, when they are calling their book runners, they won't call you.
Oh, okay. So you need to be in his good books.
Yes.
And that is obey.
Obey.
So when because I'm wondering, I'm a bank. I have a bond with you.
Yes.
And this bond can affect my ability to continue to run. And you call me into a meeting. Then you tell me that, I can't pay your bond. In fact, I'm extending your bond to this. Coupon cry I won't give you. If you're a bank, you're a business, you're saying that the banks were not able to resist because they were afraid.
Well, let's make it very clear. These bonds are issued at a rate.
Yeah.
On the primary market. And then they are discounted
Ghana's gold. Radio gold.
on the secondary market, which means that the banks themselves do make some income on this bond,
Okay.
right? And then you are called into a meeting, and you are told that you will lose everything you have targeted to make on the bonds that you have traded in on the secondary market. And then you said, okay, bring it on. I will make it nothing, absolutely nothing. Because the 5% being offered is not a discounted rate. Which means that on the secondary market, this is what will be paid as interest to you,
The 5%.
the bondholder, the 5%. Which means that the banks makes absolutely nothing.
Okay.
Is that the case? And if that is the case, have you seen the banks themselves show any interest of fighting that decision in any form?
In fact, the only time I saw a statement was recently when they said they went into a meeting with the bank. They issued a joint statement with the Ministry of Finance and themselves. Aside that, I haven't seen the bank say anything. They've been very quiet.
Exactly. Because they know that the financial sector is being controlled by government. And the moment you make noise, the government will turn away from doing business with you.
Oh, Finance Minister is ruling with a strong hand.
Of course, he has always.
You dare not.
They were called into a meeting like schoolboys.
Banks.
I'm saying it on air. Heads of their Treasury Department or reps from their Treasury Department were called to the ministry as if they were schoolboys, going to meet their headmaster.
And when you go there, if you keep quiet, listen, and agree.
From every indication, because I wasn't there, they all kept quiet. Because if they had spoken, and they have actually sought for the interests of the secondary market, what had occurred in terms of the failure wouldn't have occurred.
So if there was, you're suggesting that if there was initial resistance from day one, insisting on the fact that they need to protect the clients they've resold those bonds to on the secondary market, we would not have gotten here.
Exactly.
There would have been an agreement, a proper agreement reached
Exactly.
in the interest of everybody.
Exactly. They could have said that, let's go and negotiate with all our bondholders.
So what you're saying is that the banks are actually beneficiaries of the resistance from organized labor individual bondholders.
Yes.
But for them, we would not have been in trouble.
Nothing. Absolutely. You are 100% right.
Okay, so now what you're suggesting is that this should have been done with more consultations than
Absolutely.
has happened.
Absolutely.
How should they have approached it?
I have bought a bond from Bank A.
Ghana's gold. Radio gold.
And then Bank A is aware there will be some form of restructuring.
Okay.
Management of Bank A are able to call us into a meeting, Georgia, and come up with something. Now, look, we all want to support the country out of its woes, although we all did not cause it. Some few caused it. But look, we are here, so we need to get out of here. I think they would have, and with proper education to the investors, I think that a lot of them would have understood that, look, we needed to do something. And you would take this information, what is more acceptable to them, back to government, Georgia, and come out with something on the middle, which everybody would be some way aware of what is coming. Here, nobody was aware of what was coming. We woke up one day and it was in our faces. And we were told that you either take it or you leave it. And recently I've heard another excuse my language, useless comment coming from one of the ministers that the market will be inactive.
Radio gold.
Yes. In fact, the suggestion is that, well, there will not be a lot of the old bonds trading if the new bonds are accepted.
Then what are their fears? Go ahead, issue it. Stay with your deadline. And if nobody picks it up, let's watch which one will be more traded in. What are we talking about? It's as if we have a certain set of people who believe they are the wisest people on earth. And all the rest of us, Ghana, excuse my language, dumb
Radio gold.
and dummies. I challenge that person. If he has any idea in what it means to trade, even though he sits at the Ministry of Finance, I dare him. They should go ahead.
Ghana's gold. Radio gold.
They should go ahead with their worst and see which one will be traded in.
So you are saying that, okay, so if you say that they won't be traded, those who have accepted a new bond, good for them. Close the deal. Put all of them on the market and see what happens.
Exactly. What are your fears?
Well, the first one having failed, there's a new offer on the table. Just good enough?
And I'm saying that we will know whether it is good enough if some of these threats, empty threats, coming from illiterates.
That's a. I think that was even the deputy minister.
Of course.
How can the deputy minister of finance be an illiterate?
Based on what he says. His utterances, I'm judging him with his utterances.
His demonstrating to you financial literacy.
Exactly. I'm sorry, but that is the fact. Look, if you have 100 investors or bondholders, and only 10 should sign up for this new arrangement, run both on the market and see which one will be more active. With the terms, run both. I challenge them. Close it. Close it as we speak. Close it today. You sit at the Ministry of Finance and you talk this way.
Radio Gold.
Why, you think investors are stupid? They cannot hire consultants to advise them, even if they don't have what it takes. You think there is anybody who is stupid and yet will make so much money to come and finance you, government, your business? There is none. There is none like that. And therefore, when they want to speak, I think they should write it on paper, read it over and over before they come out with those kind of statements.
So, essentially, all the threats are empty.
Oh, they are very empty. Let them go ahead. I challenge them. Go ahead.
Okay, so now this is where, at least, I want to pick your opinion on something, because everybody is wondering, okay, I'm an individual bondholder.
Yeah.
What was offered initially, I said, was not good. Now there's now on the table, this one, at least I get to get some coupon payments being made. The 10-year too looks shorter. Maximum maturity 5 years. Should I take it or should I not?
Well, if I'm advising the bondholders, but they have not asked for my advice,
Okay.
that's the unfortunate thing. And that will come with probably a fee.
I know. I'm getting them.
Well, I would say for somebody who wants this country to succeed, you know, I would have said, yes, take it.
Okay.
But for someone also that appreciates money, the value of money, and having a good returns for investment, I would say don't take it.
So it depends on the glasses you're wearing at the time the question is
Absolutely.
being asked.
Absolutely. And today I'm not wearing the Ghanaian one.
Okay.
So I'll say don't take it. You know, look, the thing is the 5% and the average maturity of 5 years, right? Going to pay off in terms of returns? No.
Okay.
When inflation
It's consuming everything.
is consuming everything.
Over 50%.
54%.
Yeah.
Right. And what you are going to get is 5%. By the time your maturity is due, your money is worth nothing. I have said 100,000 will be worth 1,600 and 1,700.
100,000
Yes,
will be worth how much
1,700.
by the time your bond matures?
Yeah.
Please help me out, because I'm 100,000 cedis
Yes.
will be worth 1,700 cedis
Yes.
with the offer on the table currently.
By next year, your money is around 67,000.
By next year, your 100,000 is 67,000.
Sorry, this year,
This year,
by December, if the inflation does not subside. By the close of this year, I think your money
100,000
should
is 67,000.
be around 67. Then you go to around 40-something thousand. Then 30. Then you are in the 20. I'm saying by the close of if the inflation trend does not change, your money will be worth nothing in 5 years. And the returns you would have received on the 100,000 5% per annum
Will not do anything.
will
to the
not
value.
do anything to the value. So you see, if I should put on the cap, the best advice to say that don't go for it. Let's push rather government, right, to do well on the physical side to improve the indicators, slow down inflation, and then we can recover quicker than probably the 5 years and have some of these bonds very attractive on the market for trading to go on as usual.
Well, if you're joining me, we're having a conversation with Nii Yarboi Annan. He's a financial analyst. He does a lot of things. So I'm not sure how much I'm supposed to advertise. Anyway, so this is where we are. We have a debt exchange program that's crucial. We also have a sitting before us, and I want to put this within context. Whilst we are trying to do this, we put forward a budget. We are talking with the IMF. And I guess the last time you saw the budget, you said that is the wrong budget to put forward at this time. The budget has started running, where the prices are going up, everything. Even MTN is sending our messages saying that we are increasing our data charges and everything. Are we doing the right things that we need to do at this time? For the managers of the economy, let me not say we, I don't sit in economic management team meetings. Are the management of the managers of the economy doing the things that they need to be doing?
No.
Not at all?
Not at all.
Not even with the DDE's one?
Well, it has failed. What has been proposed again would fail. I have told you before the budget was put out that the budget is going to fail.
No, you predicted the 2022 budget was going to fail.
Yeah.
It failed. This one, you said this one will fail.
Yeah, it will fail. It will fail. Look, Sena, we are not slowing down in terms of expenditure. You have a president who recently had to say that they are going on with all projects,
Ghana's gold. Radio gold.
with all the difficulties we find ourselves in. Right? And then you have revenue lines which are basically going to fail because of the marginal utility consideration and all that.
Okay.
The price increases you are seeing around is not due to price increases on raw materials or on production. The price increases are due to government policy.
Okay.
Government says for everything you buy, add 2.5%. Approximately 2.7%,
Okay.
because of the cascading effect of the 6% levies.
Okay.
And therefore, automatically, your fuel prices will go up, electricity prices will go up, water will go up, every other thing will go up. What it means is that the factors of production have not been influenced by the natural causes of things that influence prices in terms of raw materials, but rather government policy. So the January inflation that will come up, and I presume some 4-5% addition,
Okay. It will go up.
it will go up. It's coming from government policy. It is not due to Russia, Ukraine.
So the increase in inflation you're anticipating will come from governments,
It's coming from
the actions
government.
of government.
Absolutely.
So they will cause the next round of inflation.
Absolutely. And this is to have more revenue. But what they tend to forget is that once prices are pushed up by government, people's reaction to it is that, let me slow my consumption level.
Okay.
Let me start putting off my fridges. And then, in a way, the individual expenditure is slowed down.
Okay.
This is what government is looking at in terms of slowing inflation. When people are not prepared to buy more, you would offer your goods less cheaper.
Okay.
But this is not going to work because the effect is not due to the production itself. It is due to taxes. So no matter what, it will happen. And therefore, I will not say that I am not buying because tomorrow it will change.
Okay.
This is a policy. And therefore, you will still have to go on and buy more.
Okay.
And when you look at the aggregate demand, nothing much will change. The purpose is already defeated. Because it's not as if maize prices will change or rice prices will change. It has been stable. What has not been stable is policy. And normally, controlling inflation through that route has only about 10% chances of surviving or being successful. Your revenue lines will not be achieved if you want to look at the year before 2022 with all the difficulties. Right? And then you come to this year with elevated appetite, asking for more. When in fact, there is not enough in circulation. Activities in circulation. All activities are drying down. Go to the factory. They are all producing less and less. Production keep drying down. With the debt exchange program, most of the banks have suspended credit facilities, which means that production will further suffer. So let us not expect any magic, because there isn't going to be one. It is not rocket science.
So you're saying the revenue targets that have been set using the increase in VAT will not be met.
Yes.
Yet the government is expected to spend more.
More.
They are not cutting down expenditure.
No.
The ministries are the same numbers.
Yes.
The
wages being taken
wages,
up.
Yeah. In fact, they were even adding more staffers at the presidency,
Exactly.
among others. You're saying all that is wrong within this context. They need to be looking at something else, cutting down drastically.
Yes. We needed to have turned away from most of our flagship programs that are front-loaded. We needed to turn away from most of the mall investments that we have around. At this point, anything that is going to pay itself in 100 years, 50 years, should not be entertained.
The investment should be into something that can pay off in the short term.
Absolutely.
For example, I recently heard that Terminal 3 has generated enough to pay off.
Exactly.
So things like that.
Absolutely.
Because their biggest investments are now going into something like Agenda 111 free SHS is still consuming a lot in the nature in which it is?
Well, they have not shown us any figures how those investments could pay themselves back in the shortest possible time. And you and I know that even with the structures being built, equipping it
Will
cost money. And even finding staff or employees to man those facilities would also have its own challenges.
I'm wondering if we should be having an argument with government over, because right now, everybody is telling government, you need to cut expenditure. You need to put your free SHS on the table, dice it up, be ready to accept the things you will not accept.
Mm-hmm.
You need to put everything else on the table. One district, one factory, your agenda, one. You need to be suspending some of them, some of them are necessary.
Yeah.
Is that something we should have been pushing for? Government should have seen it a long time ago.
Government should have seen it. What are the experts sitting there doing? In the ministries, in the various ministries, what are they doing? We just formulate policies without looking at the policy paying back. You know, there is this feeling, if you don't take time, you would say that everybody in there working for this nation is incompetent. But I think that these are the leadership of most of these ministries, from the government appointees and all that. I think they lack the sensitivity of governing a nation.
The sensitivity.
Yes, to govern a nation.
How sensitive it is.
Yes.
To run a country.
Exactly. I don't think they know how sensitive it is. I don't think they understand it. I don't think they even appreciate where we are. They don't.
Well, we need to take a break. When we come back, I guess we'll have 30 minutes to finish and go back to the COVID audits, because all these are connected. Anytime you ask this government, why are we here? COVID. So we'll go to COVID. We'll talk a little about COVID audits, the monies we got, how we spend them. We'll talk about it after the break.
Imagine strutting into the most anticipated wedding of the year, only to see 7 other girls wearing your exact same outfit.
You are special and one of a kind, and that's why whether it's voice, data, or SMS, you get to enjoy personalized offers tailored to your specific needs with MTN just for you. Dial *141# or select your options on the My MTN app to redeem your unique just for you package on Ghana's best mobile network. MTN.
Bushia, a Yuani Swadi say, Ubesi Dine, a Wafi Mwana, and ye, Name Kamfu Hat Builders Real Estate, Ede Amawo, Hat Builders Real Estate, a Jumekwa, one more Aton Tong and Sassy, one in Sassini B, a war, Shy Hills, Tropoli, and Afi, Ningo Pram Pram, and Nijisema Wahone say, one Sassia, a what Tropoli, and Ningo Pram Pram no, Yateso, Ede about 15,000 Ghana cedis po, Umpewe, now Pedien, for 20,000 Ghana cedis pay. Fabra, Nian Train Sasia, and that Shy Hills in the B, and Famao, Hat Builders Real Estate, one more sign so tontong, a densi, any plumbing materials, BAB, one more year architectural drawing, biofuel digester, borehole drilling, roofing, Shisha Hat Builders Real Estate, Echaquine, a war, a shaman, one Mandela Parkino, and a dinche anymore, for Hat Builders, a wahumeso, 0591 599 006, and 0555 314 806. Hat Builders Real Estate, the future planners.
One station.
Accra 2022, 23, 24, and more. We don't try me by Dreamer. Back live.
Commercial free.
This is Mid-Morning Show.
Oh, we love what you have in Bad Dreamer. Mid-Morning Show.
The Mid-Morning Show.
Yes.
90.5.
Good morning, my neighbors. On Dreamer, my Dreamer. highest quality
Radio station.
Put your hands up.
Brave.
Powerful.
Fun and vibes and more. Accra 90.5 with Ochame by Drema.
Whoa, we love you.
Your mid-morning show on Radio Go.
We are back like 100 times. 2 times bigger. 90.5. Mid-morning show. Wait, Ochame by Drema.
Mafuya meya, you say hepatitis. Me to ase, me sremu. Asa why you be na ekiki me? Emuya meya.
Sciatica, any bone fracture no. You do Power Specialist Herbal Hospital. Dr. Kosia Dia ya betrete.
Sciatica, entini, any bone fracture, nompemu yare. Power Specialist Herbal Hospital. Ebe show me one.
Entemukura. One must specialize was sa area ropa. Yare ba konso ne saya omombre pa hepatitis B, stroke, diabetes, akumamu yare horo, typhoid, awo, dunso mu yare. Ni nyina Power Specialist Herbal Hospital. Koko, what the abef mfidie be hwehwe mu yie. Ansa na wode mu nduro na nanam no akam. Accra or Kwabenya ACP Road. Was see Power Bar Stop wo hwa. Kumase or Feyase, one just bro. Filling station the hwe num. And atakra de so Anaji Estates, Customs Road. Ghana ha baby obia wo bia mfre 0244 54 44 22 and 0200 38 38 31.
Power Specialist Herbal Hospital.
Hepatitis B, ayaresa fi ankasa.
Come 2nd February 2023, 9 p.m. live is the reloaded, repackaged, re-engineered, interplanetary fantastic journey of a voyage. Is the beginning of the end, the unwritten constitution, interactivity beyond time and space. Thursday, 2nd February, 9 p.m. live, the Night Train. Catch you next week last year.
Dia Ubia was say, Obedi Nukrabia Betraka say, how be any ho. Salamekano, Yaya Juma. Now, so sa which say Abaniti. Ama say MPP. Aba Yabako 2024. Message Yedibakono, Aya Diamayan.
That takes us to 35 minutes past 9. This is, and then commenting on that when we played the first time, says, Senator, let Alan know that they have a campaign message. They are simple messages. If not for the MPP, Ghanaians never knew the president can travel with a girlfriend in a rented luxurious airplane with bathrooms and bedrooms in them. That's a good message. Well, that is coming from Nene and Okakuna. So this is Hadia Akumapa. Okay. You wanted me to speak tree to the end of the program. That's impossible. My tree can only last for 2 minutes. The rest I can't do. Hadia says, for a lie, things are very hard in this country. But what I always ask is, does the president hear people, the cry of the people? For me, I have never thought of leaving this country because of my children. Today, I'm hungry. I'm hungry to do so, because I don't see any future in today's Ghana. They are planning the sale of their Galamsey gold. Disguised money laundering. There are 2 things we are fools. They want to sell their ill-acquired gold. Is that something you suspect?
Oh, yes.
They can be planning to do.
Well, we were told how much one mining firm actually got them.
Okay.
But we don't know how much was sold.
Okay.
Right? We don't know the quantum.
Okay.
In fact, we know the volumes of cocoa that we are able to sell, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
They should also let us know, and the proceeds that were received, for which it was used to purchase the oil. Simple as that.
Well, if you just join us, Nii Yarboi Annan is in the studio with me. He's a financial analyst. We're having a conversation. Now, let's move to the matter of COVID-19 audit. You said start today, and I want to start from that point, that for a moment, forget the figures you are looking at. you said the focus should be the objective of the audit.
Yeah.
And when you look at the objectives, you could see that there were clear issues that were identified. What do you mean by that?
Okay. So the finance minister presented to us an account through Parliament.
Okay.
And he mentioned how the monies were used.
Okay.
And this accounting, we have invested so much in terms of the gift mix.
Okay.
And it is in the interest of the Ministry of Finance to ensure and insist that all departments are using the gift mix so that the financial information we rely on as a country will be more accurate and complete. That is the essence of the investment we made into gift mix, isn't it? So the objectives are clear. Is the account presented to us fair, accurate, complete, supported enough by documentations, adherence to rules, regulations, and policies? These are the objectives. So this is what the auditors had in their pocket before commencing the audit.
Okay.
Then they got there. And the first thing they found out is that the Ministry of Finance itself was circumventing the process of using the gift mix.
So the ministry that invested into the gift mix,
yes,
to ensure proper accountability in itself,
yes,
is not using what it put
exactly. So if this will not scare you enough,
Ghana's gold.
then what else? It's not about the figures. This is only COVID expenditure. If the Ministry of Finance can circumvent what he had spent a lot of money to acquire and to ensure that we prepare accurate, complete financial record for reporting purposes, if they themselves are guilty of circumventing that same procedures within the gift mix, then for me, I will not even look at the rest of the report.
Because that alone raises enough red flag.
Yes, because it's like me, the gatekeeper. I have set myself up to steal. What do you think I would do to the others if they are doing the same? Nothing. Nothing. I think paragraph 33 also. I think paragraph 33 also. And it is clear what was done at the ministry with regards to and permit me to read 32.
Okay.
We noted that a total amount of 543,709.13 pesos was recorded as expenditure on the gift mix and lodged in an account. Out of this account, 194 payment vouchers totaling 543,058,709 were processed and paid. We recommended that payment to service providers and transfers to MDs in respect of COVID-19 expenditure should be processed and paid through gift mix.
Over $500 million.
Yes.
Indicated as expenditure in gift mix.
Yes.
But when it comes to
processing it,
just
making the payment within GiveMix.
They didn't do that.
They didn't do that.
All you see is a bulk sum
Exactly.
that I've spent this amount.
Exactly.
But the specifics that are supposed to be part of the accounting, you don't see it at all.
Exactly.
That's the Ministry of Finance
Exactly.
itself.
Exactly.
So you're not surprised by what the health minister has done?
I'm not. The health minister, although is an astute accountant, you can say that this is the health ministry.
Yeah.
Let's forgive them. This is the Ministry of Finance, I should say. Look at the 33. On 6 May 2020, Ministry of Finance paid Smart Infraco Limited 23 million for the provision of smart workspace platform for MDs to facilitate virtual workspace, but did not deduct withholding tax of 1.7 million.
The Minister for Finance?
Yes. Who wants revenue?
Oh. Is paying without taking the revenue.
Exactly. And look at the incompetent recommendation. We recommended that the Ministry of Finance should recover the amount of 1.7 million from the company and pay same to the Commissioner General of GRA. This is incompetent. And
why do you say so?
Because that's not what the law says.
What should have happened?
The law says that when you fail to withhold, you should pay.
Oh, so Ken Oforiatta and his ministry should be finding the money by now.
Exactly. They should have paid it to the Commissioner General. And then after you pay, then you can go to Infraco and recover what you have paid.
Because you're talking about money, even the value of that 1 million. By this time, the 1 million has been greatly devalued.
Of course.
So it means the period when we're supposed to take that money and now.
And there are penalties that even has to accrue to it. And then the Auditor General says that, okay, Hakuna Matata, just go on and go and recover it from Infraco. When you, the Auditor General, you know what 896 demands of whoever did not make payment of or did not withhold VAT. You know.
So if you, Nii Yarboi, has a business, you're supposed to, you are making a payment to somebody, you're supposed to withhold tax, you do not.
Yes.
When they come to you and realize you've not done it,
yes,
you pay the penalty.
Exactly.
Then you can go and take how you take your money back is not their problem.
Absolutely.
But they'll take their money from
Absolutely.
you. And you make a penalty payment in addition.
Absolutely. They don't waste time.
So the finance minister that is driving that policy itself makes the same thing that an individual will not be forgiven for.
Yes.
And they are told, go and take the money and bring. So if they are unable to recover, let's assume that Martin Franco struggles to raise 1 million.
Well,
take it like that.
That is why the Commissioner General was given the powers to actually recover it from you, the one who paid, who made a payment. Then you can go and spend all the time in the world recovering that from Infraco. Now, if this is what the Minister of Finance presided over, what do you expect other MDAs to do? I don't waste my time. Is the Minister of Finance going to tell other MDAs to use the processes and procedures within GiveMix to do payments? Is the Minister of Finance going to tell service providers or the MDAs that, hey, withhold tax? This is the accountant of the state. And the accountant is reckless, even with his professional duties. What then do you expect? Look, let's understand the audit process. All these issues that had come up have been raised with the management of most of these MDAs already. in a management letter. When these findings were made, it was put first to them for a response. And therefore, they could have responded to say why they couldn't have used the gift mix. Failure to provide a justifiable reason will mean that this report would have been issued. So seeing this report means that when it was raised, they couldn't provide any reasonable excuse for doing this.
So anytime that is included in the auditor's report, it means that the auditor was not convinced with the reason you have given.
Absolutely. Or whatever the reasons, the auditor had found out through his work that you were probably lying. Maybe they could have said that during those periods the gift mix was not working. But apparently the auditor would have found out that certain expenditures within that same period were able to be effected through the gift mix, its processing and payment. So the final report you see has gone through levels of work and reviews and responses. I'm sure if you have taken the management letter, you would have seen worse of things. So, for me, I don't have any appetite actually going on with the review, because most of the things, the moment you go to the Ministry of Health,
and he said that, and that is one of the things people have been saying. It's manned by one of the accountants. People say it's a highly respected accountant who should know better.
Yes, unfortunately. I mean, look at what we have here. Money is paid to you, and then you are saying that we recommend that the chief director of the ministry, blah, 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 blah. It's two things. It's either you bring the medications or you refund our money. We have not read the contracts. Probably. There is some clause there that says that the monies are not refundable or whatever. We can't tell. But I believe that some of these things should have been stated. That due to this, we are suggesting that you should do that. You come on, and then the ministry, without approval of the Central Tender Review Committee, went on to actually commit us to about 24 million. You would go on to a finance lease of 15 million.
And then
that was paid for
20 million.
A facility, and they spent an extra 20 million. A financing lease. What was the initial payment? What was supposed to be the monthly payments? For which period? What would be the final payment for the property to become that of the state? With this, I will ask millions of questions, and I don't think from this government anyone can get an answer.
No, explain to us what you mean by that, because we are under the impression that they list it for a period. So which means that when the period expires,
we have operating lease, and then we have finance lease.
Okay.
When it is a finance lease, it means that you are leasing, and then at the end of the lease period, you would acquire the property.
Okay.
So the intention to acquire the property is there already.
Okay.
Once it is a finance lease and not operational lease.
Okay.
Therefore, how much was the facility?
Okay.
That you made an initial payment of 15 million, committed extra 20 to it. Where does that bring us? I am of the opinion that the moment the recommendation stated that we should look at we should consider an outright acquisition of the building, it means that a chunk portion of the finance lease payments have been made through these two payments.
Okay.
I mean, why would you commit us to such a thing? What was the urgency? I know of the facilities that we tried to put up in Kolebu and all that. What was the need, real need for that?
Because some of the things you're hearing, for example, there was supposed to be an isolation center that they were building from the ground up.
Yes.
They gave the contractor some money. He didn't even do 10% of the work. The contractor was gone.
Exactly.
They've not seen the contractor again. But I think the main question then that comes out is, do you think the money was spent prudently enough based on the reports you've seen?
Well, I think it is clear from the reports that the monies were doled out just for government to have enough resources for campaign 2020. That's all. That's the only explanation I can give to this.
Money is doled out in order for government to have money to campaign for 2020.
Yes, absolutely. What was the need? Look, show me in figures that we couldn't contain the COVID patients, or we had projected to have more patients, and therefore we needed it.
Okay.
I'm telling you, there is nothing like that.
So we're building facilities without even doing a proper assessment. How much facility we need.
And I think that is one of the things the Auditor General should have been concerned about.
No needs assessment was done.
Yes. What was the need assessment? So if I am at the Ministry of Finance, if I am there and I take decision like the Minister of Finance, I can come one day to the ministry and say, the whole ministry, we need a facility. We need this facility. So go ahead.
The next thing you know, you are constructing a facility.
And you have committed resources to it. We had enough and a lot of resources to manage COVID without going for most of the loans. We had a 3 billion Eurobond sitting down. For Christ's sake. If this country meant well, and we have suspended a lot of our expenditures because our children couldn't go to school, there was a dry down of demand. Are you telling me that we couldn't have found means to contain this with this 3 billion we had on our hands, or only a portion of the 3 billion we had?
So as far as you're concerned, we didn't need to spend all these monies.
We did not.
I recall vividly, and this may be the last I raised on this issue, when I had Honorable Tekwe City right in front of me. One of the things he said was, he was saying, he was calculating the money, and then he said, do you know how much that is?
Yeah.
And it says, from the perspective of the Ghanaian economy, do you know how much it could have done if you manage it prudently?
Yeah.
Do you think these monies that we spent, if we had used them properly, would have put us in a better position than we are now?
Absolutely. Look, we could have used COVID to actually turn around our economy. Our economy was already going to crash. It was on its way to crash already. We could have used COVID to actually turn around things, but we failed.
Because give or take, we're talking about close to 22 billion that they are accounting for.
Absolutely. Which was not productive. Which saved how many lives? resulted in how many deaths? Malaria records more. Accidents on our road records more. I'm not saying that, okay, we shouldn't have done nothing. But we could have been measured in our effort to contain COVID. But let us also not say that in 2021, we did not make money off COVID. Where is the 1% in all this?
The COVID levy.
Yeah, where is it? It went into the consolidated fund. We did not see where it is. No. It was for a purpose. So whatever you are spending, you are also receiving some form of income as a result of a revenue measure and a handle. Where is it in all this?
Let me do a few messages that were sent to me a bit earlier. This is Eben in Kwabenya says, Mr. Incompetent President Ado, if I may ask you, is corruption fighting or you are fighting him? Ghanaians want to know, because you said you will never be corrupt. You will never be corrupt and fight corruption the Annas way. There's Leviticus who says, okay, I think he's actually preaching to me. Then this is Volivo from Johannesburg, South Africa. Senator, please tell Alan Coins to confirm that he was not given the free atmosphere to work as the Minister of Trade. Then maybe he might have some sympathy votes. This is Blueprint. Who writes on Mesicado. I strongly support the proponent for early Congress to allow us to have enough time to heal our wounds, because intra-party elections come with a lot of acrimony, and it is time the New Patriotic Party comes into consensus building to give us a date for the early Congress latest by this year. That is coming from him. There's Alasan Sese Zenu Centra, who says the gold for oil and accommodation rent policy is just for nothing, but yet another ground scheme to come from this nation wreckers, clueless government, you see. There's Mystic in Sawam, who is joining us. It's undoubtedly clear that the insensitive, corrupt, Nanado-led government is in a state of confusion. Has failed Ghanaians miserably. Cost of living is unbearable and the center cannot hold. I just can't comprehend why some hungry, suffering MPP supporters still have temerity and the testicular muscle to defend this indefensible economic crisis. The future is pregnant, he says. And then there's Mustafa from Kaswa, aka Silencer, who says the MPP has already buried the country. Akufo-Addo is the worst president ever. I think there's Koblavi Pokwasi Benghazi. So the amount of gold MPP government sent to abroad to exchange it for oil, they can't tell us. This is clear stealing. Why can't they tell Ghanaians the number of gold bars they transported to abroad? Or they didn't account the number of gold bars they have forgotten. They are forgotten. I don't understand. Is this the way MPP government is going to handle gold for oil deal? Nii Latte says the Akufo-Addo administration is so corrupt to the extent that almost all the programs and policies they have introduced are questionable. Oh no, Nene, good morning to you. There's Samuel Loveland who says good morning to you and your crew. Future for the BDCs, OMCs in this country is on the path of collapse. They have just about 2 years to collapse after the new refinery takes off and will take over the fuel drive of this country. The regulator, which is the government, will take the heavy tax from this private company, and the company will redirect the cost to the ordinary Ghanaian. In the early stages, their fuel will be quite cheaper after capturing the market. Then the business finally will take off intensively. There's a lot more to go through, but my time is up. Nii, thank you very much for passing through. Always a pleasure seeing you. By the way, are you going for the Duo seats?
Probable.
When nominations are opened, you'll contest.
Why not?
On the ticket of the NDC.
Absolutely.
Oh, to be MP.
Yes.
In this time.
Well, yes. We need people.
Mm-hmm.
You see, Parliament is not for just anybody.
Okay.
I think it's time we need people who would help bring back our nation and protect this nation from certain things that have occurred. I don't want to mention. And also to bring understanding to our people. I think that that is what I look up to in offering myself.
We'll have the opportunity to talk about that when we get there. I'm waiting for the day when you pick it, then we'll talk.
Sure.
You're a very elusive man, so. I'm Sena Dombo from the rest of my team. We say a big thank you for joining us on the Gold Morning Conversation. Ochami Bajumba is up next with the mid-morning show. Let me see if the producer has sent me what has been done on the show today. Okay, so Timaya is in the spotlight. Timaya, the Nigerian musician, is in the spotlight today. Want to know more about Timaya, some music that you have missed from him? Join the only linguist on radio, the king of mid-morning, who is up next.
Kofi guys, Edik, Ewa, Sombo. Go, Osode, Ediana Miwi, we know what's seen Nantia, Ope, Osode.